Yeah, we most certainly can.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Let's Have a Real Conversation podcast with
Dashing D. That's me.
and I am JD, aka He Who Pods,
The Pod Son.
and holler. And we are remote again. It's my fault.
Yep.
I'm gonna keep it. Hey,
Sorry.
be nice.
I mean, it is your fault.
Motherfucker.
You've been going into COVID dens.
Listen, man, you know, I went outside for once.
Well, when you go
So-
outside, you get exposed.
Hey, I just got my PCR back. I am still in the clear.
Still COVID free
I'm still COVID free.
for now.
According to the Wall Street Journal, maybe not, but
Right.
that's another conversation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we weren't sure what was going to happen. We wanted to play it safe because I didn't have my PCR results yet. And, you know, I want to get my co-host and friend sick.
Appreciate it.
And, you know, no doubt. So we're out here playing it safe and, you know, keeping the COVID germs away.
Thank you so much.
So-
I'm just trying to keep
So,
my
yeah,
lungs
so we
clear.
got some follow-ups. I'm sorry?
I'm just trying to keep my lungs clear.
As you should.
Mhm.
Those lungs are important, I hear.
Yeah.
That's what they say. So let's get to some follow-ups. There are some interesting things that we have discussed on the pod before, and there are updates. So I guess we start with Funk Flex.
Yeah, we talked about it last pod. We talked about the fact that Funk Flex was having some beef with a couple people, Conway, and Rock.
Pete Rock, no?
Yeah,
Was it Pete
it was
Rock?
Pete Rock. Pete Rock was defending Conway.
Yes.
So that's how that issue started. We also established that Funk Flex has a problem with a lot of people, and when does he not? But there are updates. You can, hit us with the updates.
So we spoke last time about Funk Flex saying that he was gonna send Conway a beat,
Mhm.
and Conway would have to make a song, and then Funk Flex would play it on the radio.
Yeah.
And so he did that. So Funk Flex has done the same thing with two other artists. He did it with Math Hoffa,
Mhm.
which is a battle rapper and MC.
Uh-huh.
And he also did it with Joel Santana. And so the promo is kind of him making it seem like it's a challenge.
Mhm.
But it's pretty clear that phone calls were made and this was set up prior. It seems like Funk Flex is trying to give New York internet famous MCs a chance to have music played on the radio.
Okay.
He claims he is trying to restore the feeling.
Oh, the feeling. Okay, the feeling.
Trying to restore the feeling. So people are taking that to mean that he is trying to bring New York rappers back on the radio.
Okay. That's a positive thing.
Sure. It's interesting. So Joel Santana is next. That should be happening sometime this week. I don't know exactly when. I don't listen to Funk Flex. Sorry.
I don't listen to Funk Flex either.
To be fair, I don't listen to the radio at all for many years now. So I just, disclaimer. I don't want people to be like, "Oh, he said he doesn't listen to Flex." I don't listen to any radio. So.
I feel like unless people are in their cars, they're not really listening to they're probably not listening to the radio nearly as much. Maybe someone like working or something. I used to listen to the radio. I used
Right,
to go
that's what
on
I was gonna
iHeart and
say.
listen to the radio, but I don't really do that anymore. I stopped actually. What I used to do was on my walk in the mornings to the train to get to work pre-pandemic, I would put on the Breakfast Club. And honestly, that was because I liked Donkey of the Day. So my walk coincided with Donkey of the Day. So like 5 minutes
There it
into
is.
my walk, my 20-minute walk, Donkey of the Day would come on and I would listen to that and they would chat about that or whatever and I'd maybe hear a song or two and then I'd get on the train and I wouldn't listen to it anymore. It was just like my 20 minutes a day.
Wow.
But then Charlemagne said something stupid and I was like, I don't need to tune into this every day and I stopped listening to it. So that was the end of it for me. If I'm ever in a car, which is not often, that's the only time that I ever hear the radio. Like if I'm going out with my sister or
Okay.
whatever, she plays the radio in her car. And or maybe every now and again when I get in an Uber. But radio's great. I work for an audio company. Radio's great. It's a slippery slope and I'm not going down it. Radio is wonderful. Audio of any kind, we love it here. Okay? The radio is wonderful.
That's why you got a blazer on. Okay, I got it
Corporate
now.
D. Corporate D, okay? It's like
Trying to make sure you don't offend your political
listen, you
connects.
cannot offend your political affiliations. You just simply cannot. And radio is wonderful, by the way. It's just as great as podcasting is. Just the best.
Wow.
I mean, if it's audio, I am
Wow.
with it. All right. Yeah.
Wow.
So shout out to Funk Flex and the rest of the DJs.
Sure.
All of them.
Oh, he's gonna be offended.
By me?
Remember, he got offended that they called him a DJ.
You're a motherfucking DJ, Funk Flex.
Hey, listen.
Send him this clip. At him. At that nigga.
Or you don't have to. Or you don't have to.
Radio is great.
So, right, it's okay not to, you know. You might have to call this episode "I Can't Live Without My Radio."
Yes, I like that actually.
Throwback LL vibes.
Yeah, I like that. So Will Smith. He who punched Chris Rock in the face.
Slapped.
Sorry, I forgot. At the Oscars, yes, just clear across his face. Will Smith has issued another apology. This time it is a video apology. Will Smith has issued another apology. He notes in his apology that he has reached out directly to Chris Rock, and Chris Rock has said that he is not yet ready to speak to Will Smith, and he will reach back out to him when he's ready. I personally don't care about this apology, and it's not to say that I don't think that the apology is genuine or anything like that. I just really don't care. I thought we were done with this. But also, I don't know how I feel. Like, is it nasty for him to come on and say that I reached out to Chris Rock and Chris Rock said he's not ready to talk to me? Is that like a get out of jail free type of move that he made? What do you think?
Actually, he went a step further to let us know Chris Rock did not directly respond. He said, and I quote, "The message that came back was that Chris is not ready. And when he's ready, he'll reach back out." Meaning, Chris Rock did not respond. Someone responded on his behalf.
Of course.
So he wanted to make sure to let us know.
Chris Rock is not speaking to him.
Chris Rock didn't even bother responding. Someone else responded on his behalf.
If you smack me in the face while I'm standing on the Oscar stage doing my job, no, I'm not responding to you. Yes, I'm having my people let you know that I'm not responding to you. Go deal with your shit. Go deal with whatever it is you need to deal with. Everybody online is like, oh, he's going through a healing process, this and that. That's fine. Go heal. Leave me the fuck out of it, though. If you were the one who smacked me in the face, then you need to go figure out why you smacking people in the face like that. Don't call me. Thank you for your apologies. But, and I know it sounds like I'm mad at Will Smith. I'm not mad at Will Smith. I just want to be clear. But as the receiver of the slap, Will Smith, what do you expect? You slapped that man. Not only was it in public, not only was it on a stage, but it was something that the entire world, remember the video that had the audio was not even from this country.
Right.
The entire world was watching this. And you got the nerve to put out a video apology and let people know that I'm not speaking to you. No, nigga, I'm not speaking to you. No. For what?
Well, he also let us know that he saw Chris Rock's mother make a comment publicly and he apologized to her. And then he apologized to Chris Rock's brother, who he was friends with before the smack.
Right, because I remember Chris Rock's brother was very upset that this, I mean, any family member would be upset that you just got smacked on stage at the Oscars.
And so he said he understands that because he smacked his brother, the relationship is probably unrepairable. Oh shit, the specs came out.
Because this is ridiculous. I don't even understand why we're getting another apology right now. I really don't.
Is it a sunny day in the closet?
Do you see I have my ring light on? I got that light bouncing. You know, I can do a little extra something when you're not here.
Things. Listen, do your thing, player. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I figured I'd hit y'all with some different glasses. I'm going for a different vibe today. This is like more like Cardi B meets corporate. Will Smith, go heal. Go heal. Just go deal with your demons.
All right, listen. We both have siblings. If your friend smacks one of your siblings, you're supposed to just be friends after
my
that?
Friend.
There it is. I mean,
assemble the goon squad. I don't know what you expect. Not you. I don't know what he expects to happen. I don't know, and that's why I'm saying that it's kind of nasty to point out that he didn't actually respond. Or what? Do you want him to come beat the shit out of you so you can feel better about yourself? Is that what you want?
Perhaps because he says, oh man, I hope Chris takes care of that edit point, because that was a doozy. Yeah, Will Smith said he said that he has a psychological issue where he feels like shit when he lets people down. They asked him at one point if You know, how does he feel about the people who say like they were fans of his, they looked up to him, and he let them
Mm-hmm.
down? And he said, well, you know, I feel like shit because, you know, I have something about me where I feel like I just need to please people. He didn't say that exactly. I'm
Mm-hmm.
summarizing. You know, what's the term?
Paraphrasing.
Paraphrasing. Look at that,
Mm-hmm.
same time. Yeah. I'm paraphrasing. So maybe he would feel bad to answer your question, you know?
And I listen. The reason I'm saying go heal and go figure your stuff out is because it is not easy, and it is not lost on me that Will Smith is a huge, huge star who did a very public thing that people are ashamed and upset with, ashamed of him, upset with him. What do you want to say?
He said,
You looked frozen.
"Oh no, I was trying not to cut you off, so I figure if I give the signal
Yeah,
and
no, go
wait,
ahead.
you'll
Mhm.
call on me." He said he's trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of himself. Did you see that
Yeah,
part?
I understand that.
Okay.
But even though he is trying not to be ashamed of himself, people are ashamed of him. And people,
But he should be ashamed of himself.
I understand the perspective he's coming from. I think, I mean, and he sounds like somebody who's in therapy. I think that the idea is that,
Or is he acting like
or
someone
he's
who's
acting
in
like, I mean,
therapy?
he could be acting. You know how I feel about that. He's a huge actor and acts well. So a lot of the shit that we hear could be completely false or, you know, fabricated or whatever. But I think I can understand saying, listen, to be ashamed of yourself and to, I guess, put yourself down for something that you did rather than figuring out how to repair that and repair yourself, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
is more productive for anyone really than walking around ashamed like you have some sort of stain on you or whatever it is, right? It doesn't help your self-esteem and your self-confidence to be ashamed of yourself. um should you be remorseful and should you feel sorry about what you did? Absolutely. But should that manifest itself as, um I'm a bad person, I'm um I'm violent, I'm insert any negative thing that people think of him at this point? I think that's what he's trying to say, is that he's trying not to shame himself but rather go through the motions of being sorry for what he did, um and being able to stand in that confidently as opposed to beating himself up for it. um I think that's what he's trying to say. Does that make sense?
Does Will Smith
Does
know
that make sense?
what? Sure. But I don't think Will Smith understands that he smacked another man at the
Mm-hmm.
Grammys at at a Grammys that was
Mm-hmm.
making history for him and all of his people,
Yeah.
all of our
Yeah.
people. which we covered this when it happened, but you didn't just smack Chris Rock.
You shit on something larger than one person.
And then the first question in his little interview apology is, why didn't you apologize during your acceptance speech? And he said, it was all fog by then. I was fogged out. What the fuck does that even mean?
Either I was high,
That you were high?
inebriated in some way.
Is that what he's saying? That he was high?
I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not accusing him. I'm just saying it could mean a number of things. It could mean he was inebriated. It could mean that he was high. It could mean that he just, maybe he's one of those people who blacks out when things like that happen and they can't really think about what happened until later on, or I don't know.
It wasn't hard to think about it at the after party when they said we chose chaos tonight.
Agreed. But that's why I'm saying, like, why are you telling me that Chris Rock won't answer the phone? Why are you telling me that? Because you did something fucked up. And it is not strange that this person will not answer the phone. And if you are truly sorry and you want to apologize for this and you felt that you needed to say it again, or you felt that you needed to do an interview or whatever it is to discuss it, that's fine. But leave Chris Rock out of it at this point. At this point, this apology was more for this conversation that he had. This was more for him than anyone else. This wasn't for Chris Rock.
Yeah. Well, it might have been for Jada.
Maybe. People were very hard on Jada
because he made sure to apologize to her and let us know that she didn't ask him to do this. She didn't tell him to do this.
I think that was the honorable thing to do as her husband and as the person who didn't get all of the smoke. Like, she got a lot of the smoke for blinking. People were like, hey, did you see the thing she did with her eyes? I'm trying to make you do something with my eyes right now.
It's not gonna work, but
not through the video. Yeah. You don't think so?
No, sorry.
You don't think so?
Nope.
I'm just saying, though, that's the way people spoke about it. They spoke about Jada like Jada had these magical powers, like she was I Dream of Jeannie, and like that is how.
Like she was bewitched.
Little baby, so young. Exactly. I used to love Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie, by the way. But
they came on back to back at one point.
They did. And I've always been an insomniac. So when I was a kid, middle of the night, everybody was sleeping. I'm watching everything. I'm watching The Odd Couple. I'm watching I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, The Dick Van Dyke Show. What else? All of them. The Odd Couple. Did I say The Odd Couple already? I did.
You did. Clearly, that's your favorite.
My mom's favorite, actually. Yeah. And then I used to work with this guy who every time we got to the date that Felix had to leave his home, the date his wife kicked him out, he would bring it up. He would be like, guess what today is? And I work in media, so everybody's like super young and a lot of people are straight out of college, and people were like, who is Felix Unger? What is that about? Meanwhile, my 65-year-old ass is like, oh my gosh, The Odd Couple. Okay, I'm done.
That nigga will walk in there whistling the theme song and shit.
You know what today is?
Nigga just be like,
on November, I think it's November, on November, whatever. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know that. I know
Well,
the
because
theme
that's
song.
they say that over the theme song. That's how but
Okay.
I've been listening
It's
to
been a minute.
I've been listening to one of your other pods, and I hear that you're someone who doesn't really like the intros to shows, so you probably wouldn't notice it. You
I
probably wouldn't
skipped
notice
them.
it.
Well, back then
That's
we didn't
true.
have a skip button.
Yeah,
You had to watch that
it
shit.
comes up across the screen, and somebody recites it and says on November 20th whatever 19 whatever year it was, and Felix Unger was asked to leave his home. That's how it goes.
Poor
I mean,
Felix.
sometimes your wife kick you out. Be like that sometimes.
I'll
I've
take your
never
word for
been
it.
somebody's wife, and I've never kicked somebody out. So, I don't know. I don't know, but this is what I hear.
I've never been someone's wife either, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know after my divorce. I'll let you guys know what happened there.
Right.
Anyway,
So, what's our
done
next
with Will
topic?
Smith.
What we got?
Nothing else you
Oh, you
wanted
got
to
more?
say?
We could do more. Oh, it's on me? Sure. Uh, what else about Will Smith? Will Smith is full of shit, which I said already when it happened initially. Uh, I wonder why now? Is there a film coming? Is he having trouble putting stuff out? Uh, did Jada say, "Hey, enough is enough. Go say something"? Uh, and I feel like I feel bad for Chris again because it's like, yo, the shit happened
Yeah.
months ago, and now it's got to be trending again, and now he's got to see people speaking about it again and tagging him, and
Yeah. And all I saw after this happened was a lot of posts about how, Will Smith is truly a person who is trying to heal. Will Smith is, he's trying to make things right. And there were all of these there was all of this positive commentary about the fact that, Will Smith is committed to his growth. And
yep,
I'm not saying that those things are bad. I'm not saying that people shouldn't say those things about him, but it's almost like he's been from the beginning, not even just now, but from the very beginning, there were so many people who rallied behind him and supported him.
yeah,
And when you're thinking about the other side of that, like, honestly, that would piss me off. That would irritate me to go on
yeah,
the internet and see that, like, there's always been, and people have said this, there's always been, since this has happened, there's always kind of been, like, underneath it all, it's like, but what about Chris Rock? Like, this whole
yeah,
thing has centered Will Smith. And something about that doesn't sit
yeah,
well because Will Smith is the one who did the bad thing. And we do that a lot, like in the society
yeah,
we live in. Like, we center the wrong people all the time. We center people who are not
yep,
considered victims. I don't want to go down, that could be a whole deep dive there with the word victim. That could mean a lot of different things. But we tend to center the people who do the bad thing.
right,
We don't often center the people who were actually affected by what this person did. Like, we talk about,
right,
not to get too political or whatever, but we talk about like shootings and things like that. And we spend a lot of time, especially when, the person is of a certain persuasion, and most of the time they are. We spend a lot of time talking about that person and their life, and this person pulled an AK-47 on people in the mall. An AR-15.
AR-15.
You know I don't know that stuff. You know I just pull that one out of my ass. Thank you.
I got your back.
So it's hard. It's hard because you don't want to forget about the person who it actually happened to. And I think, all things considered, it seems like Chris Rock is fine, right? Like we're not hearing anything that says the contrary. We know that he's been touring. We know that he's been,
Right.
continuing to live his life normally. And so we can rest assured that at least that he's not become a recluse. He hasn't canceled all his shows.
Right.
But there's still some stuff inside that happens, that goes on with you when you have something like that happen to you publicly. And I'm sure he's dealing with it.
Absolutely.
But that's why I'm like, I don't need to see Will Smith about this again. He want to start putting out movies or doing whatever he's doing, go jump off a cliff, bungee jump off of a cliff, or whatever it is he wants to do. Go do it. Right, go do whatever it is you want to do. Like I don't care about this, the apology tour. I'm not interested in it. I don't really care.
Right.
He can, like, we're good. You said we're square. Like, you said it already. We've talked about it. We spoke about the Will Smith thing, like, as a collective, as a culture. We spoke about the Will Smith thing for weeks. We don't need to continue to speak about it now as we sit here on a podcast talking about it for 20 minutes. But I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm good.
Yeah, I feel you. And I think that in agreement, I think that it's really sad that he's being granted so much grace in all of this. I saw another podcaster who I will not say the name of, but they are very popular and you're a fan of them. I saw a post and they were like, oh, this man is healing and this man really needs us to wrap our arms around him. And at the end, he said, if you're patient, we can be friends again. You know what, Will? You're right. We need to be patient so we can be friends again. Shut the fuck
You're going to be surprised.
Shut the fuck
You're going to be surprised. I never finished reading that post. I think I read the first 2 or 3 lines of it. I know exactly who you're talking about. It's someone that I love very much and I admire very much. I read the first 3 lines of the post and I stopped and I left it alone. I was like, this isn't it.
I went down to
I didn't go all the way down. I didn't need it. Like I said, I didn't need to see the video of him apologizing again, and I didn't need this. I understand where that person is coming from, especially because it's a person that I keep up with. And honestly, the new episode of that person's podcast has not come out yet. So they have not spoken about it yet. I am waiting for that too, to kind of listen to a deeper dive on their thoughts. Because again, it's someone whose opinion I value, but I couldn't finish the post. I was like, I'm not mad at him, but I'm just like, okay, like what, who is this for? This for us?
If you're patient, we can be friends again. That is some bullshit that I'm going to put in my back pocket.
No, we can't be friends again.
I'm going to put that in my back pocket for when I need some bullshit. I'm be like, oh, hold on, let me. Oh, I got one here. If you're patient,
there is a difference.
We can be friends again.
There is a difference.
Who can be friends again?
Right? And I feel like maybe you can tell me this too. I don't know if this happens so much with women. I feel like I know men who have been in this situation where they've like had a fight with their boys or whatever, and they ended up like physically fighting, but it wasn't public and it wasn't like a slap in the face. Like it wasn't I'm gonna embarrass you right now kind of moment. It was just we got caught up in the heat of the moment and we ended up in a scuffle. And I've heard a lot of men say, well, yeah, sometimes you gotta go through that with your boys and then, like move on. I am not someone who can stick around after someone hit me. I don't. Why are you laughing?
Nah, I'm sorry. Not because the way you said it, you didn't sound very
But
tough.
I wasn't trying to be tough. I'm being serious. Like,
I know, but you just sounded like real.
Do we need to edit that out?
You're like, nah, I think it was good. It was funny.
Me,
like, I'm not someone who can
you want me to get bucked while I say it? If you hit me,
I'm not someone who can stick around while someone hits me.
Because I was really trying to think about it. Like I was like, I'm running through my Rolodex, and I'm like, who could hit me? And I would be like, you know what? Let's let bygones be bygones. Let's continue to be friends. No, fuck you. You hit me. You hit me in a very public way. Not only did you hit me, but you embarrassed me. But again, that's why I'm saying, like, maybe you can relate to this. And the people who say, like, we got into a scuffle or whatever, things got heated, it got physical, but, now it's like, after the dust settles, this is what it is. I've never been in a fight with one of my friends, so I don't have, like, a physical fight. So I don't have a frame of reference there.
There is a section of the male group. There's a section of man society that says, yeah, you could scrap with your boys and be friends. Eminem even said in a song, what's another fight? Tomorrow you'll be boys again. I've never had a fist fight with one of my friends that I still consider a friend. I have come very close to fighting one of my closest friends, but it never happened for various reasons. I've never really had to fight my friends. I mean, there's junior high school and high school, whatever, maybe. But as a grown man, no. In fact, me and one of my most street-oriented friends have also had this conversation, and he and I both agree that if we have to put hands on each other, the friendship is probably already over. I agree. Because there's so many levels, there's so many, like, barriers that are being broken on the way to the fight. There's several levels of disrespect before we put hands on each other. So by the time fists are flying, the friendship is probably over already.
That's the way I would look at it. That's the way I would see it. It's why are you hitting me? So so
what else we got?
Since we were circling back on things we've talked about before, the last thing that we've talked about before is
Meek Mill?
Banning the use of rap lyrics in court, or whether they should be used or not. And there has actually been a law that has been brought to Congress to ban the use of rap lyrics. I'm just going to...
Yeah.
According to Billboard, the Restoring Artistic Protection Act, also known as the RAP Act, look at that, you see what they did there, would limit when any form of creative or artistic expression could be used as evidence against the person who created it. This also says that the bill is the first of its kind at the federal level and mimics recent efforts in California and New York to protect artists and their crafts. This law has been a long time coming.
Yep.
but recently re-entered headlines after the arrest of Atlanta rappers Gunna and Young Thug. In both cases, prosecutors cite their lyrics as to evidence of crimes allegedly committed. This was posted by the Shade Room, but they got their information from Billboard, so it's just easy to screenshot the Shade Room and rather than go through the whole Billboard article.
Sometimes it is easy to use them.
So I know you felt strongly about this one.
This is true. Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing that it's being presented. We have to see what happens next. We've already both given our stance on this. I like that it is being presented and they are trying to pass it on a federal level. I'll be honest, I'm not very hopeful.
I don't think so.
I don't think they're going to pass it.
I
but
think when they're
it would be
using
good
rap,
if they
when
did.
they're already using rap lyrics to take down large groups of people, I think it would put lawmakers, or it would put law enforcers at a disadvantage. And I think that those people have enough influence and are connected enough that Congress is not going to quickly pass that. So,
right.
Yeah. I mean, and I've said before that.
And let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
I said, and let's be real. Congress ain't exactly the biggest rap fans.
Right. And listen, we could, again, there's always room to discuss white supremacy, right? So everything is rooted in that. Everything starts there and ends there. And so
now we're having a realist conversation.
So this will only help the people that you try to keep down. So why would you pass it?
Right. Right.
Yeah. It's not, and again, like you said, rap is not their music of choice. And so
nope.
There's no incentive there to keep that going. What I do think should happen is, because I understand it and I know that I had a very different stance on it than you did. I just felt like if you say you murdered someone in a song, then why are you looking for grace? I didn't understand. I'm sorry. I didn't. If I'm like, hey, guess what I did in my music, and then someone says, oh yeah, you did that? Okay, here's what I got for you. And then I go, oh my goodness, why am I in prison? That was my stance on it. But here we are, and trying to understand. That's what some of them have done. They've gone and they've bragged about things that they've done, allegedly.
No. I'm not talking about the rappers. I'm talking about the attorneys. The attorneys are not quoting the lyrics that directly reflect the crime. They're quoting any lyrics that could be twisted to paint a picture that this has something to do with the crime.
So that is different from what I am saying. Because
but that's what they're doing, and that's the problem. Because if they say, I had a gun, I hit a gun in a couch,
but
something that simple, they could say, oh well, when we finally got the warrant and went to his house, there was a gun in the couch.
No, I understand that. I'm talking about the cases that have happened where rappers have specifically described crimes that they have committed, because that has happened too, where they've specifically described crimes that they've committed, and then they've gotten caught.
Yeah, like the one I quoted, like the one I read from Florida, the kid from Florida.
I know that Pooh Shiesty is one of them that has been talked about. That's how uh, the lawyer that we spoke about, I don't remember his name right now, he was the one who said stop self snitching, because, and that's, he says that's to him one of the most interesting cases, because he laid out everything right there. He gave it all away. And so that was what I was speaking about. I was like, well, if you have the audacity, and by the way, audacity is being sold at Costco. I'm convinced. I feel like people are buying audacity these days in bulk. I don't understand it. It's very confusing to me. But anyway, I just had to say that because everybody has, anyway. Everybody's wilding.
Everyone's wilding.
But if you're going to do something like that, then you cannot be confused when there's consequences to your actions. But I hear what you're saying, and you're right. You can't then pull things out that don't actually directly affect one thing or another. That I don't think is fair, and I don't think they should be doing that. So that being said, what I was getting to is that I think that certain people need to be involved with this. If people are really serious about this holding some weight with Congress, then there are certain people that need to get involved. People like the
lobby like they
of
do.
the world and the P. Diddy's of the world, the people who are actually in spaces where some of the people who guide decision making are. Those are the people who are going to have to advocate for something like this in order for this to be passed.
Yeah, and Jay-Z was involved in the New York one, to be clear.
Okay. Well,
yeah. But yes, I totally agree. We have to lobby the same way they do.
Yeah, so I'm not shutting it down.
And someone else who has been public about this is Meek Mill,
who has had some trouble with the law.
And we have an update.
And so,
yes, he has. And we have an update
on
Meek Mill as well.
Meek Mill is officially off of his label, right?
Meek Mill is officially off his label. We said last time that he left Rock Management, Rock Nation Management, and now he is independent and making some very bold statements.
Well, hit us with it.
Meek Mill says he is fully independent. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
He says he's fully independent and he's got 10 projects ready to go. And he's going to pour $1 million into each project. Meaning promotion, marketing, etc. He's going to put $1 million into each project. And and he said, anybody who's been involved with me behind the scenes, all of the sponsors, all of the people who have been making the big money moves, come with me on this journey. Invest in your boy for real. And take this chance with me, because I'm taking a chance on myself and my music. He said, roll with me.
Sponsors, you said?
You know what I'm saying? Come with me on this journey. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to do it first. Roll with me.
Like corporate sponsors? Like corporate sponsors?
Oh, he didn't say.
I mean, listen, more power to him if he can figure out how to do that. If he can get people on board and get, but that that don't happen like that.
He said he wants them
If
to
we're
hit
having
him
realist
directly.
conversations, and maybe there will be someone or a company who wants to back him and wants to invest in him. But also, how does that work exactly? Like, you want to be independent and you want to do your own thing, but do you want to be independent and do your own thing, or do you want the corporate money? That sounds like he don't really know what he wants. It sounds like he doesn't want the shackles of his management team, but he still wants the financial backing of a big conglomerate. Am I wrong to say that? Like, am I not understanding
Well,
this correctly?
it appears that he wants help financially. Yes.
So, okay.
Uh, I just would like to say he is not the first person to do things
No,
independently.
I don't have a problem with him being independent.
He is not the first person to he is not the first person to leave a major label and
Yep,
do
that's
things on
absolutely
his
true.
own,
Many
quote
artists have done
unquote.
that.
There are
Yep.
people who have done that. And there are people who
Yes,
have done that
absolutely.
successfully.
And I wish him well in all of his future endeavors. Don't get me wrong.
So, sure, me too. I just was curious where that came from because there's lots of independent artists and there are some who have left big
Right.
labels and been successful. Not tons, but he definitely would not
And
be
he
the
also has
first.
a following.
And so
I think he can. I absolutely think, just so I'm clear, I absolutely think he can be successful as an independent artist. But I'm a little bit
I agree.
confused about if you're independent, are you looking to be like sort of independent?
He said, and so he tweeted that he wants to do partnerships. So, for example, uh, the Let's Have a Real Conversation podcast would team up with him for project number 3, and there would be a revenue split, and the they
Mm-hmm.
we in this example would provide some sort of financial assistance and possibly more. And it would be a partnership, a revenue split,
Well,
etc.
I cannot provide Meek Mill with any financial assistance, but what I can do is if Meek Mill would like me to and you to somehow, listen to his album and provide commentary on it or something like that for a fee, Meek Mill can have that too. He can certainly pay us. He can certainly pay us. He can certainly pay the Let's Have a Real Conversation podcast to help him in his endeavors. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a partnership. I guess then is he considered truly independent? Is that a common thing? I don't know a whole lot about independent artists. And okay,
Not.
so because that's where
It's
my
not.
confusion is. It's like, well, you want to be independent, but you want corporate sponsorships?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is you being independent? it's fine if that's not if independence is not really what you're looking for, then that's fine too. I guess I'm confused about, I don't know. Like I guess everybody has to follow the bag in whatever way they think that makes sense for them, and if this is what makes sense for him, like
Today's definition of independent really just means not
well, then there
signed
he
to a major
goes.
label. So if I accept $1 million from person A, but I'm not signed to one of the 5 major labels, yeah, I have a millionaire backing me. I have $1 million budget and we're splitting revenue. But today that's viewed as independent, which really is not independent, but that's kind of the definition today
And then when you
of
team up
independent.
and you do this partnership, are they only getting revenue out of you?
Well, that's the question. We don't know those answers. There was a big conversation about this a couple years ago. Um, what's this kid's name? From Chicago.
Chance the Rapper.
Uh, with the
Mm-hmm.
Chance the Rapper. Thank you. Chance the Rapper had a major deal with Apple, but he was saying he was
Oh, I remember
independent,
this. Yeah. Yeah.
and a lot of people felt
Right.
he was not independent, and he would say, "I'm not signed to a label. I'm not signed to a
But
label."
you're being
But his marketing, his everything was being handled by Apple.
right.
So it was a big debate, and even when he went on the
Mm-hmm.
Joe Budden podcast and did an
I remember
interview,
that
that
too.
was one of the topics. And he continued to say, I'm not signed to a label. I have a partnership with Apple. And
Which is a huge loophole, honestly. Because
sure.
Apple is a huge player in the music industry.
Yeah. They're
Apple
top 2 streaming.
Apple might
Yeah,
as
they're
well
top 2
be
streaming
the
site.
record label. So
Yeah.
I don't believe you. You need more people. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, fun fact. Did you know TikTok is going to have
I
a
did not
music
know that,
streaming
but that
platform very
is a
soon?
smart move for TikTok, considering TikTok is all about sounds. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
We should talk more about that.
Just a little fun fact. Yeah. Let's take a pause because I see my camera jumping. You see it too? Oh, it hasn't been jumping on your side? Because I keep seeing it like flicker.
Sometimes you kind of freeze for a second, but it's not flickering.
Oh, then fuck it. Let's keep it going. I was gonna restart everything, but no, great. And yeah, we can talk about that later. JBP spoke about it. They read and I guess a press release. TikTok is going to be releasing their own music streaming platform or a distribution platform, something like that.
Right.
Nigga said, I am Spotify. When Queen Bee gave the approval, it was time to listen.
Yeah.
So I listened.
So you waited for approval?
Well, I was oblivious to the leak.
I know.
So
I'm kidding.
yeah, I waited because I didn't fucking know.
Yeah.
To be honest, it was Friday morning and I was like, all right, let me just see what music came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why is there no music? I don't see any new music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is weird. Yeah. I checked R&B. I didn't see any real R&B. I checked rap, very little. I don't listen to any of the people who came out. I'm like, why the fuck is there no music? That's really weird.
Because there's only one album
And
that
then
matters.
And then it hit me.
Yeah.
It's Beyonce Day.
Yeah.
I said, okay. Let me swing back over to R&B because clearly I didn't see it. Start scrolling through my app. No Beyonce in R&B. I said, that's weird. Let me go to hip hop. Maybe for some reason they put her in there.
No.
Beyonce wasn't in hip hop. I said, well, then where the fuck is Beyonce? Because clearly I'm not an idiot. I could have just searched her name. But now I was curious.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to pop. And there it was.
There she was.
Front and center.
Yep.
Renaissance. And I hit play. I was out.
You
on the move.
my soul. I'm sorry. I had to do it.
I'm gonna make that a GIF. You keep playing. Fucker, I'll make a GIF of you doing that.
I just had to do it once. I've got it out of my system.
Keep playing. I'm gonna make a GIF of you doing it in both videos.
That's my signature move.
It's gonna be the dashing D. The dashing D arm dance GIF.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Niggas gonna put in arms and you're just gonna.
They gonna TikTok that shit. Okay.
Oh man. All right.
Viral.
So I believe it. I'm rooting for it. So Beyonce's album's out. I press play. And I'm on the move.
Yeah.
I listened to it while I was on the move. I even broke one of my rules. I usually eat and watch something. I said, nah, I'm going to keep listening to this Beyonce album.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. And before I knew it, the album was pretty much done.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, this was an easy listen.
Yeah.
Nothing felt like I needed to skip it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing sounded off or horrible. In fact, it was smooth as shit. Like,
mm-hmm.
I didn't even know when the songs were changing half the time. Which is really interesting because normally you know when a song changes to the next song.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell if you're not looking at the phone or the device that the songs are changing.
Right.
That's how smooth the transitions are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting. Sometimes it's just effortless, and other times there's like a break. There's a lot of breaks in the beats, and there's, bridges and different things that she does, vocal flexing. And sometimes it's in the middle, and then they'll repeat it at the end, and that'll be the transition.
Okay.
But that's not the case every time. So I really didn't even know when songs were changing. Like at one point, I was like, man, track 3 is really long. Track 3 is an example. I don't actually mean track 3, but I was listening to a song and I'm like, it gotta be 10 minutes now I've been listening to this one song. How long is this song? And 3 songs had passed. I had no idea. I was like, whoa, that is pretty fly. So it was an easy listen on first listen. Pretty seamless, to be honest.
Okay.
So as you know, if you listen to this pod, I try not to give reviews on music without listening to albums 2 times. So I knew I had to listen again. But I didn't want to throw it on immediately. Mm-hmm. I wanted to give my ears a little bit of a break.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, the internet was buzzing about it.
As the internet does when a Beyonce album comes out.
Absolutely. People were making all kind of funny references to how much you can dance. People were saying Beyonce trying to make us dance for an hour straight. We can't do it. Uh, I saw this one funny video. It was a clip of someone like really sweaty
Mm-hmm.
and trying to catch their breath with a water bottle in their hand. And it was like me 10 tracks into the Beyonce album. Like, this is the tweet, not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, damn, bitch, you ain't gonna let me stop dancing yet?
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought it was funny because in the clip of the GIF or whatever, the person is like hunched over,
Mm-hmm.
pouring sweat, and they're holding a water bottle. And they're just like, so I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. And then someone that me and you both follow, who I will leave nameless, was really, really hyping up the album. And they were saying it is great.
Yeah.
And they were focused on the lyrics of the album. They had several posts about the lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
how profound it was,
I've seen a lot
how
of
powerful
lyrics.
it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I was confused because on the first listen, none of that stuff jumped out at me.
Okay.
The stuff that did jump out at me was sexual, rebellious,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like, hey, I'm the shit.
Okay.
And I said, okay, maybe I need to give this a second listen for real because I was already going to, but maybe now I need to try to zone in more on the lyrics of this album.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried to do that
Mm-hmm.
when I listened the second time, about 9 or 10 hours later.
Yeah.
Now it's Friday night. And I have to be honest, I haven't listened to the last bunch of Beyonce albums before I continue.
Okay.
I listened to Lion King The Gift,
Mm-hmm.
which I am being told people don't count as a Beyonce album, but that's confusing to me. We can talk about that another time. And the last album I listened, and I also listened to The Carters, which in my opinion was a Beyonce album featuring Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm.
And then before that, the last thing I listened to was 4, which was a long time ago
I liked 4.
at this point. Yeah. And so I was kind of confused on the second listen because Beyonce's stuff that I've heard in the past is pretty balanced. It has a little bit of this and a little bit of that when it comes to both subject matter
Mm-hmm.
and sound. So listening to this album confused me because that was not there.
Mm-hmm.
This album was a lot of I'm the shit, you're the shit, you could be the shit.
Okay.
And that was it. And there were some powerful things that were said,
Mm-hmm.
like people were tweeting about and posting on Instagram about, but I found that they were in glimpses, a line here, a line there. They were not the overall theme of the album, meaning that this was not the uplift the woman album that people were kind of making it seem like online.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I need to listen to it a third time. Like maybe I'm missing something. Because I'm just not getting what the internet is getting. The things that stood out to me was
Or
Beyonce is cursing every song.
okay.
I mean, maybe I'm just late to the party, but I'm not used to Beyonce cursing every song. She was cursing every song. And the lines that stuck out to me were her saying, go to church and twerk it like you're not in church.
Is that really a
And
line in the?
there's a
Yep.
song called Church Girl.
I've seen that there's a song called Church Girl.
In the song, she's saying, be rebellious and be who you truly are,
Mhm.
and drop down and twerk it.
Is it worth it? I mean,
I think she says something like
I'm
that.
gonna work it. Put my thing down, flip it.
And the other reason I feel like I might
Edit
need to
that out.
listen a third time,
Huh?
sure.
Yeah.
The other reason I feel like I might need to listen a third time is because the subject matter wasn't matching the song titles.
Okay.
So I feel kind of lost. I feel like maybe I need to do research because I just don't know what happened. Maybe, hey, listen, maybe because I'm not a uterus owner, this is not for me. Maybe, I don't know.
But okay, so I hear what you're saying, and I hear that you're saying that you felt like you needed to listen to it a third time. Is it possible that if you need to do research and you need to listen to it a third time, then maybe it's just not hitting it for you, and maybe, or maybe you're just not, sheep.
I don't know what the sheep comment is
Mary
about,
had a little
but
lamb.
I
Because we know that there is a large percentage of Beyonce's fans who don't really care what it is. It's gold. It's amazing. It's awesome. It's incredible.
every big star has fans like that.
Sure, but Beyonce.
Yeah. Drake has them, Kanye has them, Jay-Z has them, Lil Wayne has them, all the stars
We're not
have
going
them.
to act like the Beehive is not. You know what? Never mind.
I'm just being honest.
Yes.
I fought with those
right?
type of fans.
What'd you say?
I said I have fought with those type of fans for years because especially in hip hop, those type of fans are quick to say so and so is the best rapper. So and so is very good lyrically. But they're not. And so I have had plenty of arguments and debates with those type of fans that you're describing. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm saying they absolutely do exist.
I'm saying a large part of Beyonce's fans are that way. It doesn't matter what Beyonce puts out. Those are the same people we were talking about a couple pods ago where she could literally show them a blank screen and they will pay any amount of money for whatever it is she's selling. They don't even know what it is. That's why I'm saying that the whole world was going to like Beyonce's album. I believe that to be true. I'm sorry, and maybe that's why I get turned off and I don't really care, like to listen to it, because most people won't say anything bad about it. Most people won't say, and I'm not saying that they should. I'm just saying most people will. The bias for Beyonce is very strong, and so
yeah.
So I don't think the outcome. I don't think she would have had to say something extremely egregious, do something terrible or crazy or insane for people to not be like, oh, the lyrics to these songs are incredible and this is amazing and do you hear this and do you hear that? And I'm not at all, I didn't listen to it. I'm not saying that it wasn't good. I can't speak on that. But what I can speak on, and the reason why I'm asking you, is it that maybe like you're someone whose musical opinion I trust because of the fact that you understand music on a deeper level, on a more technical level. And so I'm curious as to why you weren't able to connect with it. And no, just to be fair, you are not Beyonce's target demographic. But at least in terms of the composition of the music, in terms of the lyrics of the songs, in terms of those sorts of things, there's got to be a reason why there was a disconnect in terms of the lyrics, because I'm sure what you're saying is true. I don't have any reason to believe that your take on that is incorrect, or that the content of the song didn't match the song title or whatever. I have no reason to believe that that's an untrue statement. But I think that yes, you could get confused into thinking that you're missing something because of the fact that everybody else said, "Oh, this is incredible. I just love the lyrics and the lyrics are amazing and they're just, oh my gosh, this church girl song." And then I don't know, I don't remember all the songs that people have been quoting, but people like quotable music, like
Church Girl and Thick are seem to be the two most popular.
okay.
They're good songs. Let me be clear. I'm gonna respond to what you said, but first let me say this. As far as music goes, the beats are amazing. I don't listen to dance, but the beats are great. The mixing is great.
I've heard that. That's actually why I want to listen to it,
here
because of the beats.
The mixing is great. The music itself is great. Beyonce's doing all type of fly shit vocally, including rapping. I thought it was funny that she rapped on this album more than Drake rapped on his album.
You just had to get that in there, huh?
Come on, how could I not? So I want to be clear about that. I'm just trying to respond to. I only brought up the internet thing because of the way it happened in the timeline.
Right.
Both like time literally and also visually on my feed.
Right.
That's why I brought that up, because in between my two listens, this is what I saw.
Right.
So that's why I was confused, because when I listened to it the first time, I heard the things that people are saying. I heard her uplifting women. I heard her saying, don't let that job drive you crazy and quit if you need to. I heard her saying, like, sex can be liberating. I heard all of those things. But what confused me was the internet was saying that the way the internet was tweeting and posting about it and quoting the lyrics, it was as if these were the themes of the album, and they're not. The theme of the album is talk shit records. Mostly, there are lines where she's saying, embrace who you are. There are lines when she's saying, you're bigger than the job that's stressing you out. There are lines where she's saying, like, that ugly nigga should be giving you money because you're the shit. There are all type of fly lines. Okay. But the internet was making it seem like these were direct themes. And so when I zoned in on the lyrics on the second listen, I realized they're not the themes. They are lines. And a lot of the lines in the songs, they just are lines. They are not saying super fly shit. To me, the super fly shit wasn't any of the stuff the internet was quoting.
Well, that typically happens because...
Like in one song, she says, paint the world pussy pink. That stood out to me, but I haven't seen any tweets about that.
Well, because people are looking for... It's like when a Drake album comes out and people dig into the album to look for the quotes that they can post on the internet.
Sure.
So, I mean, they're gonna pick the ones that are gonna be the most, I guess, interesting. That's relative. The
Yeah,
most
and
interesting
like
to
you said,
people.
I'm not Beyonce's
You're
demographic.
not.
I'm not a woman. I'm not a gay
I think
person.
I'm Beyonce's
I'm not a
demographic.
person. I'm not a person who dances.
Uh-huh.
So all of this is her demo. And maybe that's why I don't connect with it. But and I will play the album. Like honestly, I would love to play the album and clean my crib.
Okay, that's good though. Like
Like
I don't.
that's cool with me. Like to me, it's one of those albums. I didn't hear anything again. I didn't hear anything that made me want to skip it. Shit, I didn't even know when the songs were changing half the time. So all of that is a good thing.
And I think that's great. I think that's great. And just to be clear, I didn't interpret what you were saying as you didn't like the album. I don't think you've said that. So I was just speaking to the part about the lyrics because
people overhype lyrics of artists they're fans of.
And so that's why I was like, and that's why I brought up the thing about.
I definitely think that's happening.
Yeah. That was why I brought up the thing about people being so people following her blindly, because I think there's a lot of things that Beyonce could say, just like random shit that's like dumb and whatever. Not saying that she does. I'm just saying there's a lot of random stuff that Beyonce could say, and people would be like, "This is a great lyric." You know,
there's definitely some of that.
Yeah, that was the point that I was trying to make. I'm not trying to knock her down, and I'm not trying to knock her fans down or anything. And I'm not trying to say that she didn't put out good work, because one, I can't speak to that, and two, it probably is a great album. You know, that's not what I'm saying here. So I don't want to if it came off that way, that wasn't the way I meant it. It's just more of a, well, like I said, you're someone who, you know, pays attention to lyrics. You're someone who writes music, and so it's a little bit different to hear your take on that, and then also hear you say, "Oh, well, did I miss it? Did you miss it?" That was my point. My point was like, I don't know that.
That's honestly, like, after the second listen, I couldn't get those tweets and Instagram posts out my head. Like I feel like, should I listen a third time? Am I not getting it? Am I just not hip to the shit she's saying? Like, maybe she is saying shit and I don't know the lingo. Maybe I'm out of touch with that. I don't know.
Possible.
Again, I'm not her demo. So I know when you're in different demos, there's different terms that are used.
You just hear things differently.
And you hear things differently. So again, I'm not any of the I don't fit any of the criteria that she's trying to hit. So I understand that. But also, let me tell you what I don't understand. Okay. I don't know why this is a renaissance.
Well, I think
I never caught that part. I never got what the renaissance is, or why it's happening, or what it means. I don't know why the album is called that. And now I also don't know why we're getting 2 more of them, because she has confirmed that this is number 1 of 3. And then my next question is, well, then why is it 17 songs in the era of very short music? The album is long for today's music. And to get 2 more, I'm confused. I mean, honestly, flip side of the coin, if the other 2 sound like this, I'm not mad. I'll just make a Beyonce playlist and clean my house
to Beyonce
and 2-step, because I don't dance. But Yeah, why not? I'll clean my house to Beyonce and let her and talk about my thick Dominican ass. I don't know, whatever. I don't
So,
care. So, but I'm confused. And then also, I know Beyonce works with certain writers
uh-huh.
often. I know The Dream is one of the writers that has written tons
Yeah.
of records for Beyonce that people walk away from, people love, people
Mhm.
cherish. So I chose a random song and was like, let me just check the
Right.
credits.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, were there a lot of writers on the credits? There were like 12 writers. And then there were like 10 producers or 8 producers. And I was like, wow, what is going on? I wonder, is this because of the
Mhm.
samples? Is this because so many people are incorporating small pieces of the puzzle? I really feel like I have to do research. I'm very curious as a person who loves music and makes music why this is. I know that as of recent years, when you sample and you get your samples clear like you're supposed to, certain artists will require you to put them as a writer and give them writer credits
It's
because that's how they get paid.
right. It seems like that may be what happened.
Right. So I didn't know
Mhm.
that one of the samples involved in this album was Milkshake by Kelis. So before I get to that, I want to say some of the samples are very noticeable.
This is also why I want to listen to
Like
it.
there are some samples I think you
I
should.
mean, you honestly,
Maybe you shouldn't say your opinion here.
what'd you say?
I said maybe not share your opinion
Well,
here,
why? Because what if my
but
opinion is a
I think
positive opinion? I'm not
okay,
I'm not
well,
honestly, I'm not expecting to not like it. And I've never said that I don't like her albums. I just don't really listen to them. Um
right.
I just I don't. I've listened to in its entirety over many times Dangerously in Love, which was her first solo album. I never had a problem with that album. I've
Yeah.
listened to Four. I like Four. I've said that. I listened to Lemonade. I've listened to Lemonade.
You didn't listen to Sasha Fierce?
No, I've never listened to Sasha Fierce. I know the singles.
Oh man, that's a great
Well,
album.
maybe I'll listen to it. I'm just that's
You
the
should.
thing. It wasn't like I was. That's why there. I feel like I'm not shitting on her. I just I just
No, no.
don't listen to her albums when they come out. Like I don't that's not what I want to listen to. So
Right.
a lot of times if you tell me, "Hey, this is a great album. I think you would like this." Then yeah, sure, I'm willing to check it out, but there's certain albums that I'm just never going to. I mean, we do a music podcast. I'm more likely to listen to it now than um maybe before, but
Before.
everything that you've said to me about the album off and on the pod has made me want to listen to it. Um
I think it's good.
so my plan is to I almost put it on actually before we started recording, and then I figured I wouldn't have enough time, so I didn't. But I want to listen to it because it actually everything that has been described sounds like something that I would like. So
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to listening to it. I'm not against it. That's why I said like I'm not at all trying to shit on her. My most of my concerns when it comes to Beyonce is her fans.
Ah.
They don't under like cause you can't say no, I didn't listen to Sasha Fierce. What?
Right.
No, I didn't.
You know what sucks about streaming? And I have to check my old
Mhm.
laptop from when I used to like buy all my music. One of my favorite songs, probably my favorite song from the Sasha Fierce album, it's called I Am Sasha Fierce. It's not on streaming platforms.
Oh really? Is it on title?
It was, I don't know. I have to check title. But I often have to go to YouTube to listen to it, which I hate doing.
And what song is that?
Just a little random fact. I think it's called "Who Saves the Hero."
Okay.
It's not something you'd know if you didn't hear the album. It wasn't.
Well, I'm curious because I'd want to listen to it.
It's what they would call an album cut.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Check it out.
It's basically saying like who saves the person who saves everyone else.
That's interesting.
Great record.
I'll listen to it.
Anyway, some of the samples are very noticeable. And so when you hear it, it's like, oh, yeah, okay. And I thought that was also an interesting thing. I didn't expect that. It makes total sense. Because if you're going to make a dance pop album, why not sample older dance pop records that were hits? There's science that says people are more likely to listen to something that sounds familiar. So that makes a lot of sense. But honestly, I didn't expect that because Beyonce's not big on sampling those type of records. Not to say she's never done it before, but that's not something you hear from Beyonce on a reg.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. And also, I don't know a lot of dance pop music in that, genre. So if I knew the samples, they're big ass records.
Yeah. So
I can only imagine someone who really listens to dance. They might know every sample on here.
Yeah. I'm curious about it. But, speaking of writing credits.
So Milkshake by Kelis was sampled. But Kelis was oblivious.
Yes, she didn't know.
And her fans...
I said, she didn't know. She was...
Kelis did not know. Her fans brought it to her attention. And Kelis did what Kelis does.
Oof. Okay.
Kelis spoke out.
Yes, she did.
And she publicly aired things out, which she likes to do.
You want a snippet of that? Should we play some of that audio?
Sure.
I have it.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Here's the first issue, okay? Number one, it's not even like I'm a human being, so I get pissed off and I get ticked off, right? I'm an artist, so I am, as Erica said, I'm sensitive about my shit. The reality is, okay, is that my real beef is not only with Beyonce, because at the end of the day, she sampled a record, she's copied me before, she's done it before, so have many other artists. It's fine. I don't care about that. The issue is that not only are we female artists, okay, black female artists in an industry that there's not that many of us, right? We've met each other, we know each other, we have mutual friends. It's not hard, she can contact, right? Ash Nico, who's 20? She's a young white girl. She reached out when she freaking, it's just common decency, right? It's common decency, especially because, as so many of you pointed out, as though I don't know, but let me help you. I know what I own and what I don't own. I also know the lies that were told. I also know the things that were stolen. Publishing was stolen. People were swindled out of rights. It happens all the time, especially back then. So it's not about me being mad about Beyonce. Everyone's like, you're all sheep. And I'm talking to the people who are obsessed and blind, just it's so dumb. It's so ignorant. It's so ignorant. She's one issue because it was stupid and disrespectful and she should have at least reached out. But the real issue is the fact that the people like Pharrell and like Chad really is like an amoeba and he's spineless. It's a miracle he can keep his neck up. But Pharrell knows better. This is a direct hit at me. He does this stuff all the time. It's very petty. Very, very, very. And the reality is that it's frustrating. I have the right to be frustrated. Why? Because no one had the human decency to call and be like, yo, hey, would like to use your record. Which, by the way, the reason I'm annoyed is because I know it was on purpose. This is not like they were in the studio. No, this was an on purpose direct hit, which is very passive aggressive. It's very petty. It's very stupid. And I'm going to say what I have to say. I don't mince my words. So all of you Beyonce fans, knock yourselves out. I'm not mad like that. It's not about me being jealous of someone using my song. That's the dumbest, most ignorant thing I've ever heard. Grow up. I was not thinking about her or no one else. Not even on no shade. Just not thinking about living my greatest, best life, as I always do.
I just want to be clear about something. When I say sheep, I am not associating myself with Kelis. I just want to be clear. Okay.
Right.
When I say I have said sheep before,
Right.
and it had nothing to do with the commentary that Kelis provided. I just want to be clear about that. The thoughts and views expressed in that Instagram video were her own and not those of the Let's Have a Real Conversation podcast.
No sheep were hurt during this
Right.
podcast.
I just want to be clear because when she used that word, when I saw that, I said, hell, I use that word all the time. And I don't want anybody tracing that back to Kelis. So I didn't play all of it. She goes on to say that
you should play the last one.
The second video?
The last video.
So just to add to my thought, here's the issue, okay? This is really not about Beyonce or anything else for that. The reality is, okay, and I said what I said, so still all facts, okay? But the reality is that this is more about the fact that like there's a lot of hypocrisy and there's a lot of nonsense. So we've got Pharrell who did an interview, I think last year, talking about artists' rights and how people should be able to rework their deals and artists should be getting credit for what they've done and all this stuff. Where in reality, when I was signed to him, I had the same manager that he had, and he has writing credits on my records, okay, all my singles coincidentally, and he never wrote a song, a lyric a day in his life, okay? And so yeah, that's a problem. Number two, we've got Beyonce, who, like I said, out of human decency and artistry and female, just all of the stuff she sings about, all this empowerment and stuff, I don't talk about it, I am about it, okay? So the reality is, all of this female empowerment stuff, it doesn't only counts if you really do it. If you're really living it and walking the walk. Don't just talk the talk. It's real cute and fun to sing all these girls' songs. Like, come on now. Let's be real, all right? And then thirdly, you want to talk about Pharrell saying, oh, because I'm happy. I'd be happy too if I was stealing all kinds of folks' publishing and rights to songs and all kinds of stuff. I actually really wouldn't be happy because it's evil. But the point is, okay, is that there's a lot of hypocrisy and someone has to talk about it and bring it up. And it just so happens that I was thrown in this. This is not like I looked for it. I was actually last night, I was posting on my Bounty and Full page, just doing my own thing. And then I saw one of my fan pages and someone was like, oh, that's a collaboration between B and Kelis. No, it's not a collaboration. It's called thievery because the collaboration, the definition of collaboration, it means that we are working together. There's no working together if you are not even checking to see if everything's cool. That's a problem, okay? Point is, something has to be done about it. I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm not going to pop off all the time. I'm saying what I have to say because it's true, okay? But I do think that something needs to be done. It happens to a lot of artists. It happens all the time. And I think that really something needs to change. And this just might be the fuel that I needed to actually do it. Because honestly, I try to keep to myself and stay out of the drama. But if it keeps coming to me, what else am I going to do, right?
I think Kelis is talking about two different things at the same time. She's talking about a lot of different things. But
yep,
because she spoke about how Beyonce takes her things. She mentioned that Beyonce has done this before. I don't know what she's referencing. It almost even sounded like she was referring to Beyonce in the context of not just her, but other people, which if you're not going to list people and you're not going to list things that have been done, that's a moot point as far as I'm concerned. She's talking about Pharrell. Her and Pharrell seem to have some problem between the two of them. She noted that. She made that very clear that she feels like he is out to get her in some way. But when I say that she's talking about two different things, I mean that it sounds to me like she's talking about, on one hand, she's talking about stealing people's music and intellectual property. And on the other hand, she's talking about decency and what is ethical and what isn't. And unfortunately,
Yep.
for Kelis. Those are two different things. Whether someone should do something versus whether something is legal to do, right? And so, just so we're clear, Kelis does not own the rights to the music that was used on the song that Beyonce created, recorded, however you want to say it. And so Beyonce and her team, because we talk about Beyonce like Beyonce is the one going and fetching clearances, and that's simply not true. Beyonce's team,
Right.
she is the artist, so she is aware, but Beyonce's team did not have to get permission from Kelis to use the music they used.
Right.
So Kelis is talking about thievery and no one stole from her. Just so we're clear.
She's saying that Pharrell and Hugo,
Yeah.
that's his name, right?
Chad
Hugo? Chad. That Pharrell and Chad stole multiple songs from her. There's another clip where she says that coincidentally all her singles, they took her writing and publishing. And Milkshake would fall in that category. So she's saying that Pharrell and Chad stole from her on multiple occasions.
Okay, so that's where the thievery part is coming from. Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying that.
You got it.
Now, but okay, we could talk about Pharrell and Chad. I just kind of want to get the Beyonce of it all out of the way, because I think it's very easy to have the Beyonce conversation and be done with it, because there's not a whole lot of nuance for me. At least you could speak to your opinion of it. But like I said, I think that it's a conversation of ethics versus legalities, and those, what's ethical or what's considered, what's deemed unethical is not necessarily illegal or wrong, tangibly wrong to do. And so Beyonce didn't technically do anything wrong. Legally, yes,
Legally,
that's the right way
not.
to say it. Legally, Beyonce did not do anything wrong. Ethically, it's a question of whether Beyonce should have given, and maybe Beyonce is not the person, because if it's, again, like, we can go more into the Chad and Pharrell conversation. It sounds like they are responsible for that music, and so I kind of feel like Beyonce should have been left out of this conversation a little bit from Kelis's perspective.
Okay.
Because it sounds like there's an issue with Pharrell and Chad. And it sounds like that's at the root of all of this. So to then yell women empowerment and women not supporting women, I don't know if we jump behind causes sometimes or ideologies sometimes in order to support our claims. And I don't know if that's always the thing to do. So she's talking about this 20-year-old person named Nico, who I'm not familiar with. Beyonce Knowles Carter, 40-year-old Beyonce Knowles Carter, who's been doing this since what, 2002, 2003 by herself, something around there.
Something like that.
You think that Beyonce and Nico, 20-year-old Nico, are going to function the same way? You think that they're going to interact with you in the same way? You got on the internet and you really called Beyonce out in a way that was very, I have my opinions, right, about Beyonce and the way people deify her. I hope I'm saying that the right way. People sometimes prop her up as like a godlike figure. And I have opinions about that. I've shared them. At the same time, I don't think that Nico, 20-year-old Nico, whoever that is, I don't think that Nico and Beyonce are going to act the same way in this type of situation. I'm also not saying that I don't think that artists should do things that are courteous with one another. I'm not saying that. I just don't know if I would play the women empowerment card here and women not supporting women card. I think that is a reach at best. I think that there was a different way to approach Beyonce specifically, especially if you know that you and NERD have an issue. This sounds less like this is about Beyonce than them. Right, but she said a whole lot before she even got to that. And I get being upset and being in the heat of the moment and saying things, but then to come back and say I said what I said. She didn't withdraw the smoke that she sent Beyonce's way. She didn't. She doubled down on it. And I think that's what I'm having a hard time with is I don't know. What do you think?
I think when it comes to women's business,
here we go. Don't do this.
But no, I'm going to speak to the legality and the ethics. I'm not going to speak about the ending portion of what she said or how she's trying to call out Beyonce. That I'm not getting involved with. But legally, things were done correctly. She has a writing credit.
Yeah.
She was credited for her work in the legal parameters, in the legal guidelines. All things were followed. No questions there. Ethics. Well, ethics and music don't even go together. And so it's kind of like you're upset because a courtesy didn't happen. And I'm going to give a wild ass example.
Okay.
Hear me out. This is like the McDonald's video that circulated like a month ago where the mom was upset that the dad was bringing food for his kid, but not her other 3 kids. This is the example I'm going to use because the internet is familiar with it. The man is not obligated to bring food for the other 3 kids. He fulfilled his legal obligation bringing his child food. Why his kid is eating McDonald's every day, I have no fucking clue. That's another conversation for another time. Another conversation for another time. So, the dad, is Beyonce. Beyonce is not legally obligated to do these things for Kelis. She fulfilled her legal obligation. But now what's happening is people want to criticize Beyonce for not being nice, for not going above and beyond. That is not an obligation of Beyonce's. Beyonce does not have to. Beyonce does not have to hit up Kelis and say, hey, woman, as a woman, I just want to let you know XYZ, ABC. That's not an obligation. That's not something she must do. Would it be nice? Yeah. It's nice to bring McDonald's for everybody when you bring food. Everybody likes a Big Mac, extra sauce, large fries, nuggets, a McFlurry. Nobody's mad at any of that. But that does not mean it is the obligation of the person. Everybody likes a courtesy call. Boop. Hey, Dashing D. Man, I know the other day we hung out, me, you, and your homegirl. Your homegirl's looking good. I just want to let you know I was thinking of hollering at your homegirl. All right, cool. Later. That's not an obligation. It's nice. It's courteous. It's generous. But it's not an obligation. Right. Now, here's where it gets a little weird. And this we won't know. In the video, Kelis says, we have mutual friends. We know each other.
Yeah, well, that's where it gets a little weird. Know, or you run in the same circles with, and you kick it with them, and you know you were just in the watch the scene play out in your head. We've all seen it on a TV show or in a movie at one point or another. You know, I'm over here at the party. I see you. Hey, what's up? You say, oh yeah, I've been working on the album. You know, been busy, been in the studio. Blah blah blah. Oh, that's great. Can't wait to hear the new music. Really excited for you, whatever. And then 2 weeks later, album comes out and your song has been sampled. Pretty fucked up, right? At least it would feel that way if you were that person. So don't get me wrong. I don't think that Kelis shouldn't be upset. I think you make a very good point that if the degrees of separation are that narrow, then yeah, maybe
that changes things.
It would change things.
That would change things.
It would absolutely change things.
Now, if you said, hey, listen, every first Saturday of the month, Dashing D throws a brunch party. And Kelis and Beyonce both go to that party every month. Yeah, now I can understand you expecting a little bit of a courtesy call. Yeah. You see each other all the time. But we won't know what that relationship is. So that's where it gets a little weird. But obligation? No. And ethics in music don't exist. Do you have something else? Because I think this is a great segue for our last topic.
I guess I just wanted to circle back to I said it already, but I kind of glazed over it. The fact that Kelis has an issue with Chad and Pharrell. Is that what I'm supposed to say? Star Trek? I don't listen.
That was
Okay,
the
because
production company.
listen, like they're saying,
It was Neptune's. Neptune's were
they were
Star Trek, same thing. NERD is a group that was Chad, Pharrell, and another
okay, so they
gentleman
were
who
in
I
that
forget
group
the name
together.
of.
Okay, but here's the thing, like
Yes.
they're single, they're apart, they're together, they're one name, they're another name. Y'all know I'm old, and I can only keep up with the things that I can keep up with. so but yeah, I think she's got to deal with that stuff. She sounded very angry. I hate saying that because I don't like to put that on. A lot of people put that on Black women, and I don't like to. I think when you use the word angry when you're referring to a Black woman's reaction, it's a tricky area to be in. To me, she sounded very upset. She's bitter about some things. I don't know the backstory to all of it, so I can't say that she's wrong for feeling that way. But what I can say is that she needs to figure out her shit with the two of them, because she's now talking about taking action, and because she has to do this for all of the people who have been wronged, and it sounds like we haven't heard the end of this. It also sounds like if ever this happens again by someone else who legally uses her music, she is probably going to go on yet another rant. And I honestly don't like the way that makes her look, because you get to a point, just hear me out, because what people will say is that Kelis is bitter, and Kelis is always complaining, and Kelis is always saying things about people, and they'll completely miss the point when the point is actually important. Are you done fluffing pillows? Can you come back to the conversation now? The point, I think what she has to say is important. That's what I'm trying to say. And it gets lost when people start looking at you like, oh, you're just angry. Oh, you just complain. Oh, you're just bitter. Then people don't hear anything else. They just hear that you're the angry, bitter complainer. That's why Monique has issues when things happen publicly. It's not always that Monique was wrong for being upset, but it's that people are so used to her reacting in a certain way, and often going to an extreme that makes people think tantrum, that clouds everything else that's really going on, the things that are important. That is my fear with this. And that is why I think Kelis needs to work out whatever this is. Because no, you shouldn't have to be so upset about your business stuff. Your business stuff should be buttoned up and taken care of. So go take care of that shit. Talk to your lawyers. Talk to your people. She's still touring and whatnot, so I'm sure she has a team. Figure that shit out. Sue them if you need to. Like, do whatever you gotta do. It's the American way.
It's interesting because she's saying that she was fucked out of writing, publishing, finances, all of the above. That happens a lot in music. She said, quote, especially back then, but it is still happening today.
So much so that
And well,
I'm just
all
throwing it
right,
to
we can
you,
get
you
to
know.
it. Well, we spoke about. No, I appreciate that. I was gonna say one
Oh,
more
I'm
thing, but
sorry.
it's
I
cool.
thought that was it. I thought
We
that
can
was the
keep it pushing.
segue. Go ahead. Bless you.
Well, thanks. So she's saying that it happened a lot back then. She said, especially back then. It still happens today, and the problem is exactly what you said. If your legal is not in order, it can be really challenging to get it back. It can be really challenging to make any progress on it at all. And that is the segue. So, someone who was doing music before Kelis, and we know all their tragic publicity, publishing, and uh, ownership issues, is still battling today, which is MA dollar sign, Murder Mace. Murder Mace has been very public over many years about how he does not own his stuff. Diddy owns it. Diddy allegedly fucked him out of it. Diddy will not give it back to him. He tried to buy it from Diddy for $2 million.
Right.
Diddy said, "Hell no,
Right.
$2 million is nothing." Uh, and so we still see Mace dealing with it on a regular basis. And now the good word has come that the former Reverend is guilty of the same thing.
See, now this is the bullshit. Okay.
I have a clip here in which I'll pull up.
We had to go sit down and meet him. I'm saying, I ain't gonna lie, he just pulled out the paper and I just signed the shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, immediately.
So was it no lawyer, no shit, no nothing?
Nah. The nigga who brought me to him, he was like, yo, man, just sign that shit. You bugging. I'm like, yeah, read it. He like, he just signed it. It's good. So I just signed it.
It was it advance anything? It was just like,
yeah, the advance was $5,000.
5,000?
Yeah.
Whoa. He signed you for 5,000. That's all a nigga gave you?
That's all. Yeah. 5,000 was a lot. 5,000 hit when that shit. You know what I'm saying? That shit hit.
That's
so
the same thing Nori said.
I thought that shit was gonna last till whenever that shit was gonna last till. That shit ain't last
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Word.
And listen, but how long was the contract? You still had your
I'm
rights.
still in the contract right now. You know, Mace know the business. You know what I'm saying? He really know the business a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't know nothing. I just was signing. He was like, yo, he was like kind of fake trying to explain it to me. Like, yo, you get to keep this. I get 30% of this. So I was like, all right, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? What I'm like, what we gonna do? I'm saying, he like, you know, he a smooth talking nigga. So he like, yo, who you want to do a song with? I'm saying, I'm like, G Herbo. He like, I got you.
Did you ever do the song with G Herbo?
Nah, I never got a song with you. I got a song with G Herbo now.
Yeah, off of your own name.
Yeah. Like, yeah, she just came out like 2 weeks ago.
So here's the Mace one. I'm gonna show you.
We had to go sit.
You ready?
$5,000, man.
Yeah, shit.
5,000.
He's a clown.
2.0. $5,000.
He's a clown. That's some sucker shit.
One more
He's
time
a
for the
clown.
pod, please.
And that's some sucker shit. Mace.
Who's a clown?
That's some sucker ass shit. You think he thinks it's cute? Okay. All right. He's never getting his shit back, by the way. So he could think it's cute, and Fivio will be fine. I'm not worried about Fivio. But that's some sucker shit.
Fivio
Which is ridiculous.
Still under that contract.
For $5,000. Like the desperation. And that's not a knock, but when I say the desperation, I mean like people will do some shit for money.
I'm in the wrong business.
Some sucker shit that makes it.
Why am I in the house making body butters, writing raps, doing podcasts? I could be signing niggas for $5,000.
Yeah. Yeah. That's some sucker shit that who what you needed to get somebody back? Cause my thing is, okay, I don't know what the I don't really know beyond what the clip says. I don't really know what the thought process was behind this deal between the two of them. But now you calling yourself Diddy 2.0?
I mean, Fivio was a kid. Fivio was a teenager.
Right. I'm talking about
Fivio was a teenager when he signed the deal.
Makes it even more lecherous. But then to walk around saying, like, to make jokes about how you're Diddy 2.0 when this is the same person that you've been crying about not giving you your just due, not giving you your things. The one that wouldn't let you pay him $2 million for your stuff. Because even you knew that $2 million was not enough to pay for your things.
And so the real conversation here is this. This is a standard music industry practice. Mm-hmm. A bad one. An old one. But we know that already. And the problem is we continue to do it to each other. We continue to do it to other black and brown-skinned people. You do it because it was done to you. They do it because it was done to them. But it won't stop if we continue to do it to each other. It can't get better if we continue to hold each other back. It cannot evolve if we're still doing the shit that was happening when hip-hop was born. Bad contracts are what the music industry is built on. And anytime it gets to a point where the artists seem that they will have more power, more equity, the labels invent a new way to change it, to get the leverage, and to fuck the artists. To know that, to have been victim of that, and to continue to victimize others does not help the culture, does not help our people. And until we stop doing this intentionally, because it is intentional, it is on purpose, we won't grow as a culture. We won't grow as a people. Because it is still crabs in a bucket mentality. That's my piece. Right.
I think that it's a vicious circle that it just keeps going around and around and around. And I think it's nasty when it's somebody like Mace who you've been crying to us for years. You've been publicly crying about this for years. And while you were doing this,
doing this with Fivio simultaneously,
because like you said, people are coming from the stance of, well, this was done to me, so I'm just gonna do it to them. But not only did you do it, but then when it came out that you did it, you then made a mockery of it, all of it. That's what I had. That's what I'm having a hard time with. And maybe I'm caught up on the wrong thing, but I'm like, that's so fucked up.
It is fucked up.
I hate it here sometimes. I really do. Because I just feel like, right.
I wouldn't have to deal with this on Mars.
It's nasty. I don't know. I don't like it. And
it's gross.
I'm ashamed of Mace because of what he's been through. So appalled.
You mean you're so appalled?
So astounded. Flabbergasted. I just don't like it. And I don't like the way, I mean, maybe, you know, that was the clickbait, right? Maybe there's more context that we will be provided with once the interview that he did, that he seemingly may have done, comes out. I don't know. But right now it looks real shady to me, and I'm just like, okay, well, he can go and like go back to the pulpit or whatever it is he does these days. I don't know. Besides beg for money and masters. Yeah.
Apparently he fucks young artists.
So
apparently he fucks over young artists. Let me be clear.
Yeah,
I'm not speaking about sexuality.
But yeah, I don't like it. So he can shove it as far as I'm concerned. I don't have it in me to curse him out right now, but I just it's sad. It's sad, and it's sad that it keeps happening to people.
It's very sad.
And I think that's why, like,
yeah,
the music industry is such it's a business that is very difficult. You know how with sports, young people who enter sports, professional sports, kind of have, or for years have had, like, certain things in place. It wasn't always in place, but for the most part, at this point, they've had certain things in place. Like with football, you have to go to college for a certain amount of years. With basketball, you had to have certain things in place in order to enter the league, things like that. The unfortunate part of the music business is that it will pick anybody up and take them in and do what it wants. And obviously the music business is not a person, but I just mean, it doesn't matter. Like, there's no prep course before you enter the music business. There's no.
The music industry thrives on fucking over creative, young, brown-skinned people.
And
people of color, Black people, people who are minorities, all of the above. That is how the music industry
like you said,
thrives.
Fivio was a teenager. So $5,000 as a teenager, I don't know exactly what his story is.
But Mace knows that because how old do you think Mace was when he signed?
But that's what I'm saying. That's the point that I'm making. Like, it's lecherous is what it is. But again, there's no, oh, hey, Fivio, make sure that you know this, and this, and make sure you have this in place. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist. Unfortunately, that would be hard to build. And so it just keeps happening. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to hear that Mace is involved with this, but you know, I don't know. I just think he's a sucker for that. And That's why he will never, ever, 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 ever be able to
Definitely.
collect his things. Karma is a bitch.
Nope. I just think it's foul.
Yeah.
And it needs to stop.
Agreed.
That's it. Any final thoughts before we end this pod?
I will go listen to the Beyonce album. That's my only thought. I'll give it a chance. I'll try to.
All right.
Maybe I'll listen to it on my commute to work.
All right.
You know, I'll check it out.
There you go.
My commute to
You know,
work.
that 20-minute walk you were talking about earlier, that's a good time,
Maybe.
Might put a little extra
Is
pep
it
in your
something
step.
I can work
you know what
out
I'm saying?
to? I can maybe listen to it on the treadmill then. I'm open to
There you
it.
go.
Like I said, I think all the things you told me about.
I thought about that too. I was listening to it and I was like, can I jog to this? I don't know.
I get on the treadmill and I play a lot of random stuff too. Just because where I am, I don't get a lot of service, so I can't stream. I can only use my downloaded music, and my downloaded music is a strange combination of tunes. I know, I do. I downloaded some. I downloaded some playlists just to
hook it up.
Just for the days when I'm like, I don't want to hear some of the randomness that apparently I've downloaded, but it is. It definitely
music
helps.
is important for working out.
It helps. And what I've been doing is I've been kind of playing the music in a certain way. Like I'll start off like really chill and kind of vibey, and then like in the middle I get a little bit more rah-rah and ratchet. And then at the end, you know what I've been doing? I've been putting on really fast soca and just like, by the end of my work, I don't want to bust a wine.
Then Beyonce's album will fit at the end.
Okay.
Beyonce's album will fit at the end.
We'll see. I'll report back next episode. I'm sure I will have listened to it by then, and I will let everybody know what I think. What about you? You have anything else you want to share with the people before we go? Well,
no, not really.
Then that has been our episode of Let's Have a Real Conversation. Thank you so much for listening, and we will be back in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, hopefully in person.
Stop entering the COVID then.
If I don't go there anymore. Listen, man, that concert was worth it. I took a risk. My PCR test came back right before we potted. Still part of the no COVID club.
You're not gonna. That was a.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, that was a high five.
We'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
I looked away. I didn't know.
He's foul for that. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Bye.